My dear students, now I am welcoming you on behalf of this year the interesting class, that is your the e-learning class for your the physics. In the last classes we have discussed about your the wave optics. So, what was about the wave optics? Earlier it was your the ray optics, and what is the basic difference between the ray optics and the wave optics we discussed. But after taking some difficulties of your the wave optics, some new concept being developed. That new concept is known as your the polarization of the light. It is one of the phenomenon of the light. As you know that the light is undergoing through your the reflection, refraction, diffraction, interference, polarizations. But we already discussed about the reflection, refraction for your the ray optics, the reflection and refraction by using your the wave optics. Also by using the wave optics we discussed about the interference and your the diffractions. But after development of all these things, a difficulty is being mentioned, and what was that difficulty? Let us now we will discuss today, and by taking that concept we will come to know what are the different facts being generated in this society due to which we are getting some benefit, and what are that benefit we will discuss at the latter part. But first let us go to know what are the difficulties of the wave optics as we discussed earlier. In case of the wave optics, we thought that the light motion is your the mechanical one. It is a mechanical one. So, I said what is your the mechanical one means it is a mechanical wave. So, what is a mechanical wave? I said in my last class, the mechanical wave is that in which some medium is required. The medium is required, but the light which we are considering, that is coming from your the sun. So, the sun which is remain far away from us, and from the sun to your the earth, sir, what is the media of that one? Means that one is also possesses a medium that is known as your the ether medium, which we discussed, that is the ether medium. So, it indicates that while the light is coming from a source to your the any type of your the observation point, it may or may not go through your the medium. It may go through your the medium means it is your the mechanical. If the medium is not there but it is travelling, that is your the non-mechanical. So, the mechanical concept which was in the earlier, that was now being a difficult or it is a defect of your the light motion that was developed. This is your the first one, the light motion is not your mechanical, that is your the non-mechanical one, means without medium, that is without medium. This thing is latter development. The second one was, we consider the light motion is your the longitudinal, but now they consider the light motion is transverse. These two terms are very familiar with you. One is your the transverse, second one is your the longitudinal. Means you thought, after some second I will explain. Are you clear? And you can take the idea about that one. Suppose this is a medium and a propagation is going on. If these particles are to be vibrate along the same direction of the propagation, then that is called your the longitudinal. Not that is the lungi and your the chudi. So, that is your the longitudinal. And the another one is your the transverse. Transverse means these particles of that medium, due to the propagation of the wave, if they to be vibrate likewise, means perpendicularly, means it will go up, then it will come to the mean, then it will go to down. Again from down to your the mean to your the up to your the mean to your the down. This type of the propagation is your the transverse. So the two terms are there. One is along the direction, one is the perpendicular to the direction. So how to remember? Either for the along it is the transverse or along it is the longitudinal. There is a Munda method by which is developed by me. So you see the transverse, the first letter is your the T, and this is your the longitudinal, the first letter is your the L. So out of transverse and longitudinal, if it is perpendicular, then which one? You see AB is perpendicular to BC, suppose we are writing. So without writing the perpendicular, we are giving this sign, either this R at your the this position, R at the this position. So this is your the perpendicular sign we are giving. So just the perpendicular sign, if we reverse that one, that will give you the capital T. So if the perpendicular on reverse giving you the capital T stands for your the transverse one. So you can easily say for the transverse means transverse is the T. So which one is its opposite is your the perpendicular sign. Therefore the transverse is your the perpendicular. Likewise you can remember easily. So that is the transverse and the longitudinal. Earlier was your the longitudinal, but later it consider that is your the transverse one. Suppose a propagation is going on along this direction. The particles if also move along the same direction, then that is your the longitudinal. And if the particles will go likewise, then that will be your the transverse one. So these two concepts developed a new thing that is called your the polarization of the wave. So these two things development taken polarization. Now we will go to know what will be the meaning of your the polarization. As I have given the importance that while we are going to discuss or to know about a particular term, let us know first what is its the parent word, and here the parent word is your the polar. From the polar, that is your the polarization. The polar means the meaning is if something is leaning towards your the someone, that is your the polar. Means a particular type of the wave, if it to be mentioned, then that is your the polarized. Unpolarized means which is not polarized. Which is not polarized means not a particular type. So let us now go to discuss what is your the polarization. So the polarization is an ordinary light in which electric field vector wave is symmetrically vibrating along all direction perpendicular to the plane which is taken along the propagation, which is taken along the propagation. Suppose this is the propagation and we have to take in a plane which is perpendicular to your the propagation. Suppose this is your the plane. This is your the plane. So inside the plane, the electromagnetic waves, particularly that of your the electrical waves, that electrical waves are your the vibrating symmetrically, then this symmetrical vibration of the E vector means the electrical wave in your the plane, that is called your the unpolarized. This is the unpolarized, means it is vibrating not in a particular way, it is just spreading in your the different directions, means it is vibrating along the different directions. And if before that one, if we will place a arrangement which is your the tourmaline or nickel prism, tourmaline or your the nickel prism, which contains your axis. These axes are called your the pass axis. These are called your the pass axis. So what is your the pass axis? The pass axis, it consists pass axis. It consists heavily aligned molecules, heavily aligned molecules which provide the vibrating waves in a particular direction. In a particular direction means, suppose this is your the vibrating one and we place a tourmaline, that is your the nickel prism, and when that nickel prism being your the placed, suppose this is your the source and a nickel prism is just placed before that one. So when the nickel prism just placed, you see these axes are in your the vertical way, but these vibrating waves are in your the different waves. So out of these, the waves which are in your the vertical direction, means that particular one easily pass through that one, the particular one. But without the vertical one, suppose the others, what happens for them? Suppose a wave, suppose this is your the one, that this is your the polarizer. So when the vertical one will go, it will pass through that one. But when a wave is in the just slanting position, it will come there, it will come here. So there is your the vertical path, but it will never pass through that one, but that will not happen. And that's vertical component to be your the enter, means each and every one, you look, suppose this is your the vertical one, it can easily pass through that one. But if you take a inclined one, this inclined one, it will have its the two components, one will be the horizontal, one is its the vertical, means this wave when it will come here, its horizontal component will be obstructed because the passing is the likewise, but its the vertical component will enter. So each and the every one's vertical components to be or the enter, therefore it will produce likewise the waves. And these waves you see only in a particular direction. So which I said that polarization means in a particular direction, and this is the particular one. So they are called your the polarized wave. These are your the polarized wave. And the arrangement by using which this unpolarized becomes your the polarized, then this is called your the polaroid or polarizer. So this is your the polaroid or the polarizer. And if we rotate this one, what will happen? We will discuss. So as we came to know that if a unpolarized light, if it will pass through your the tourmaline or your the Nichols prism, then that unpolarized is becomes your the polarized. And if we look for your the screen, and such type of the diagram is shown in your the screen, and it indicates that there is a unpolarized light just on its the left side. You see there is a shape is coming which is your the polarizer, As I said that this is your the polarizer, because this unpolarized by using this it becomes your the makes it your the polarized. So this is the polarizer or your the polaroid. So by using this one, if you will say that these pass axes are not in this direction, the pass axis suppose are likewise, then what will happen? If the pass axis are in your the horizontal one, out of these each and the every waves, the components, suppose you have this horizontal one, it will easily pass through that one. But if you will take this one, when that one will come here, this one will give its the two components. One is the horizontal, another one is the vertical. The vertical one to be the obstructed, but the horizontal one will the pass through it. Therefore, the wave which will receive there, they are along here the horizontal one. So these horizontals suppose will be represented by your the point. It is also a particular type, because all are here the horizontal. Earlier we have seen all are here the vertical. Therefore they are called here the polarized. So in your the diagram you are also looking the same one. Suppose after that we will use another polarizer, then what will happen, that also we will discuss. So let us now discuss what will happen if more than one polarizer being here the taken. Let us now go to determine how an unpolarized light to be here the polarized. So unpolarized to be polarized. To be polarized. Suppose this is axis and this is your the unpolarized, and if we will place this is your the tourmaline or known as your the polarizer. Why the name is polarizer, we will come to know later. So if this will pass through this one, it will have its the pass axis. It has its the pass axis. Suppose these pass axes are vertical and these unpolarized are coming, means it has here the perpendicular component and it's the along the components, and that perpendicular component and along here the propagation of the wave, this is the propagation of the wave, then these are the two words, these two are here the electromagnetic waves, means here the electric and the magnetic. Suppose the propagation in this direction, the electric field suppose it is perpendicular and the magnetic field that is also perpendicular. If this is your the x axis, this is the y axis, this is the z axis. Along the y axis the electric vector being the taken, and along the z axis the magnetic vector being the taken. For the magnetic field we are taking the symbol of the B, for the electric we are taking the symbol of the E. So this y and the z axis they are perpendicular, means the electric and the magnetic waves they to be the perpendicular to each other, and both are also perpendicular to your the plane, means along which it is going, means along the x axis if it is your the plane of the propagation, then it is perpendicular. Similarly, if this is your the horizontal one, this is the vertical one, after passing through your the tourmaline, what is your the polarizer? It consists of the heavily chained molecules. Its arrangement is heavily chained molecules. Heavily chained molecules are arranged in such a way that only to that part the incoming waves to be your the enter, not your the others. Means if it is your the in this way, these are its the pass axis, then your the vertical components will go and your the horizontal components will not your the enter. Therefore ultimately you will get such one, means this is only your the vertical one, but there is no horizontal one. You see it has here the horizontal and the vertical, therefore it is unpolarized. Now it has only your the vertical, therefore it is your the polarized. So, though it is polarized means in a particular direction, the arrangement through which it being happens, that is known as the polarizer, and it is made of here the tourmaline. That polarizer is also known as the polaroid, also here the polaroid. And if again another tourmaline being here the provided here, second tourmaline, suppose this is the first polarizer is your the P1, this is your the another tourmaline which will again act as your the polarizer, if you will name it as your the P2, and this polarizer to be your the rotate at the 90 degree. Suppose this one to be your the rotate at your the 90 degree. So, when again this one to be your the rotate at the 90 degree, then what will happen? This vertical one, now the the pass axis will becomes here the horizontal. So, when the pass axis becomes the horizontal, these are to be enter and these are only your the vertical, but there is no horizontal component is here, means after passing through that polarizer there is no wave, means if this has its the intensity at your the product end, there is no intensity. So, therefore, such type of the phenomenon being used nowadays, like your the anti-glare glasses. Anti-glare glasses means suppose in the summer season we are just came out from the home, but the sun scorching is there. So, therefore, we are using the glasses. The glasses, you have heard that the glass charge will be the 4,000, 5,000. Simply a glass means it is made of a glass. It is your only the 4,000, 5,000. So, it makes you in the dilemma position, and that glasses are nothing but they are the anti-glare glasses, means it is made of your the polaroids. So, if the sun ray is coming in a particular direction and that pass axis are not placed along the same one, it is in the inclining position. So, when that pass axis are in the inclining position, if any light, suppose you are going at the night time by making your the riding, suppose a heavy light will come. So, if you wear that glass, that heavy light's effects will be very less to you, means before you, that light will not completely come to your the eye directly, that to be your the remain on that side. So, you will in the safe position. That are the uses of your the polaroids. So, that polaroids are used in your the reflections of your the glasses. Second one, it is reflections in your the wind glasses, means here the in the vehicle, heavy vehicles, the wind glasses are that wind glasses are made being your the coated. So, when it being your the coated, the some lights will your the protected by that one. That is also the phenomenon of this one. So, if you will rotate that one in your the different directions, then its intensity can be the control. So, after knowing this one, some question will come to your mind. Sir, it is placed in your the vertical one, it is placed in the horizontal one. Suppose sir will placed in your the some inclining position, sir, what will happen for that one? Means instead of this, suppose we will place likewise, means inclining, making your the certain angle, then what will happen, sir? This ray, suppose it will enter to that one. Sir, can it completely be the protected? No. When it will come to this position, it again has its the components. Some component of that, you say, I am saying some component of that one will pass out. Means as the rays are coming and falling on that glass, not all the rays are refracted, means towards your eyes they are not coming, they being your the protected there. So, by arrangement of that one, it makes your the protection of your the sun rays. That is the uses of your the polaroids. And during this process, the reflection and the refractions both are here the happening, and that was given by your the scientist whose name was your Brewster. So, that is known as here the Brewster's law. So, what is that Brewster's law? Suppose it is the separation of here the two medium. This is say here the air, this is say here the glass. So, this is the air means rarer, this is the glass means this is your the denser. Suppose a unpolarized light is coming, unpolarized. So, this is the unpolarized? No, because it is only the perpendicular. This is the unpolarized. This is your the normal. So, when this light will come and it will coming from your the air to your the denser, it being your the refracted and some part to be your the reflected. That reflected one is your the unpolarized, partially polarized. That is the partially polarized, means some horizontal parts are there, some vertical parts are there, but this is your the unpolarized one, and this angle is your the angle of your the polarization. So, the condition for that particular angle of the polarization, when the reflected and the refracted are your the 90 degree, then that will satisfy your the completely polarization, means this partially polarized will becomes your the completely polarized, and that is called your the plane of polarization, plane of polarization. That is also known here the POP, plane of polarization. So, how this be, how it to be determined? Suppose this is your the theta, this is the incident, this is the reflected. If this is the theta p, means this angle is your the theta p. So, if this angle is theta p, this is your the normal, then what will happen for this angle? This angle will be your the 90 minus of your the theta of your the p. And if this is your the 90 minus theta of p, then what will happen for this angle? That is equals to your the theta p, and if this is equals to your the refracted angle, that is the r, this total one is your the 90 degree. So, this angle will be your the 90 minus theta of the p. So, if we put the Snell's law, this is the air medium. So, mu 1 sin theta p is equals to mu 2 sin of your the theta r. So, that implies mu 1 means refractive index of air is the 1, theta p is equals to mu 2 is the glass, let its refractive index is the mu. So, sin theta r, that is equals to r. But what is this angle now? This angle is your the 90 minus theta p. So, this is your the 90 minus theta p. So, that is equals to mu of cos theta p. This is the sin theta p, this is the mu cos theta p, means tan theta p is equals to your the mu. So, the theta p means your the angle of the polarization, its tan is equals to your the refractive index. This is known as your the Brewster's law. So, under that condition, the partially polarized becomes your the completely polarized. Hence, my students, now you came to know that for angle of the angle between the refracted ray and your the reflected ray, if it is your the 90 degree, then that condition will satisfy your the Brewster's law. So, with this we just wind up about your the optics chapter. Dear students, now we are going to discuss one of the interesting chapter of the physics, whose name is your the atomic physics. Generally in your the 9th class you know about your the atomic physics. Not only in the physics, you also know about your the atom in your the chemistry also. So, what is your the atomic physics? Generally we will deals that the study or the nature of the physics which deals with the characters of the atoms is known as your the atomic physics. So, the idea regarding your the atomic physics, it being generated from person to person and taking your number of the years, and nowadays the path in which we are present, that is its the advanced form. So, in this chapter we are going to discuss about your the structure of the atom on the basis of your the Thomson's, Dalton, Chadwick, Rutherford, Bohr, Heisenberg's, etc., etc. Next, we will discuss about your the Bohr's postulates, determination of the radius of the atom, energy, frequency, wavelength of your the electrons which are revolving around your the atoms, the atomic spectra, and your the energy level diagram. These are in your the revised syllabus. So, the first thing is how this term of the atom being your the developed and how these human beings came to know. In the year 440, a person whose name was your the Democritus, he realized that if you continue to cut a substance or anything, after some time it has your the no more, means a very small portion will come which cannot be your the divided, and that undivided portion is known as your the atom, as given by your the Democritus. So, that means the atom is a word which indicates that is it is unable to make it to be your the divide. So, that idea was given by your the Democritus in your the 440 BC. So, after that another person whose name was your the John Dalton or Dalton, someone are saying the Dalton. In 1803, he realized that the atoms are in the combine with some materials in the specific manner or in a specific proportion. All substances of that specific proportions are cannot be the created or it cannot be the destroyed, and that atoms are like to be the same for the particular one and it to be the different for the different substances. And after the Dalton, and as the concept he was given, it is also known as the solid sphere model or the bowling ball model. And according to your the screen, you will find that it just looks like a solid ball. And the next concept came by given by your the J.J. Thomson. And someone are saying that J.J. Thomson's also, the J.J. Thomson's probably in the year 1897 to between 1899, he discovered that there were the small particles inside the atom. Before that one, up to the atom only we reached, and inside the atom what being present, that was given by your the Thomson's. And the particles inside the atom means the atoms can be divided. If something is remaining, it being developed means inside that one means the atom can be divided. So, the atom can be divided, and that small particle is known as your the electron, and which is your the negatively in charged, and that being inside the atom means some positive charges are there which are making both of them together. And that type of the model which he showed is like a plum pudding model. Like means, if you will take the watermelon, in the watermelon you will find that if you will cut it, inside you will find a red surface in which some seeds are there, and that seeds are to be treated as your the electrons, and it is the red surface that is taken as your the positron, means your the electron, and that is your the positron. That positive charge and your the electrons, they to be your the combined together inside that your the watermelon was present. Therefore, that looks like a plum pudding model. So, next idea was given by your the Rutherford. So, Rutherford has given the idea that not only your the electrons are present, that electrons are to be revolving in a particular orbit around someone, and that is known as your the nucleus. And how that idea of the nucleus being developed? As you know that in your the alpha ray scattering, means suppose you will take your the some atom, and towards that atom if some ray to be your the enter. So, out of the number of the rays, particularly out of your the 10,000 numbers of the alpha rays which are going to penetrate through that particular structure, it observed that at least 1 to 2 alpha particles, they just returns. As per your the diagram which you are looking, that 1 to 2 particles, alpha particles, they are returns. So, what happens for the others? They are just scattered, means out of the 10,000 particles, if some are returns, it indicates that on its the path some obstacle being developed, and due to that obstacle the alpha particles cannot penetrated through that one. So, he showed that inside your the atom some other particles are present, which is your the nucleus, and the concept of the nucleus was given by your the Rutherford, and around the nucleus the electrons are your the revolving. And as we know that when the electrons are to be revolved and some revolution is going on, means it must emit its the energy. So, after some time he thought that electrons which are in their motion around your the nucleus, they will falls down and they will come back, but actually that was not happened. And that type of the concept later given by your the another scientist whose name was your the Niels Bohr in 1913. He given some postulates that are known as your the Bohr's postulates, and according to my name, that is called your the early morning postulates. So, you are in a confusing position, sir. Niels postulates, Niels Bohr's postulates, and early morning postulates is what? Niels Bohr. Bohr means Bohr. So, Bohr means your the early morning. Or in sometimes I will also saying that it is not interesting postulates. Sir, what is not interesting? Not interesting means you are the boring. We are saying I am feeling bored, so that is your the Niels Bohr. So, Bohr's postulates means you are the not interesting postulates, or your the early morning postulates, which is your the important part of the motion of the electrons around the nucleus. So, postulates means these word postulates you know in your the kinetic theory of the gases. There are the postulates regarding the kinetic theory of the gases. Postulates means some assumptions. Assumptions means something he assumed. So, Niels Bohr assumed certain postulates, and let us now go to discuss the postulates of your the Bohr's atomic model. Postulates of Bohr's atomic model, which is the fundamental part of your the development of your the atomic physics. So, that is your the Bohr's postulates. Bohr's postulates. Number 1 is the electrons are revolving around the nucleus, in a particular orbit, known as, which is known as stationary orbit. Stationary orbit or permitted orbit. Permitted orbit. Just I am giving you the idea. This stationary or the permitted orbit development being your the rectified by your the some other scientist name your the Sommerfeld and the Heisenberg, you will come to know later. Second one is during the motion of the electron, the angular momentum that is your the very nearer portion, means that is your the Priya. So, the angular momentum is equals to integral multiple of h by 2 pi. The third one is the electrons can jump from higher to lower or lower to higher by emitting or absorbing energy. That energy is h nu, implies h nu is equals to your the E2 minus E1. These are the three important postulates given by your the Neil Bohr. The second one and the third one. The first one being the ratified latter. The second one is the angular momentum which it possesses is equals to the integral multiple of the h by 2 pi. So, that angular momentum is your the L. L means that is your the very approaching portion or the very near portion to you, that is in my words that is called your the Priya. So, L is equals to your the Priya, not Priya in that sense, that is the PR. PR means your the Priya. So, this P means your the momentum. Momentum is your the mv. So, that is the mv of the R. So, that angular momentum PL is equals to Priya is equals to integral multiples of the h by 2 pi. Integral multiples means n times of h by 2 pi. And this one is the electrons can jump from higher to your the lower. So, electrons will jump as per your the diagram. You will observe that the electrons are revolving around in a particular orbit. They can jump means from higher it can jump to the lower or from lower to the higher, as I have written higher to lower. So, when one is coming from higher to lower means here the C must lose the energy. Therefore, I have written by emitting. Then we have written or lower to higher. The latter part is lower to higher. Suppose you are in the lower position, you want to go to the upper position, means you have to make hard work. So, you have to absorb something. Therefore, from lower to higher means you will absorb some energy, and that energy he given as your the h nu. So, h nu is equals to your the E2 minus E1. These are your the postulates of the Bohr's model. By taking these postulates, we will derive the different concepts of your the atoms. After knowing the postulates of the Bohr's model regarding your the atomic structure, now we are going to find what will be the radius of your the orbit, and when the electrons are revolving, what will be its the energy, what will be its the wavelength, what will be its the wave number, what will be its the frequency. So, first we will determination of radius of orbit. Radius of orbit. Suppose this is your the nucleus, means this is equals to your the ZD. The electrons to be revolve around the nucleus. Suppose we have taken an electron. As per the concepts, these electrons are revolving around the nucleus in a particular orbit, means in a definite orbit. Suppose this is revolving in a circular orbit we have considered of the radius r. So, this electron means it has its the charge that of your the negative. So, this is your the electron E, this is your the nucleus, and inside the nucleus you know it has its the charge, and inside the nucleus the charge is that of your the protons charge. So, number of protons is equals to your its the atomic number. For an element the atomic number we have taken as your the Z. So, here the Zd charges are there, and here the electrons, these electrons are to be revolving around the nucleus. So, when the electron is revolving around around the nucleus, its directions will be the tangent at that position. Suppose here the electron will move means its velocity is your the v. Suppose it will come here means its velocity again becomes your the v. It came here means its velocity becomes your the v. Likewise, it to be your the continue. So, due to the two charges which are separated between them, there must be a force. That force is your the electrostatic force, and that electrostatic force according to the Coulomb's law, that is equals to K of Q1 Q2 by your the R square. So, that is equals to K of Q1 is the one charge. One charge if you will take here the magnitude of your the nucleus, that is the Jd. The second one is due to your the electron, that charge is your the E by your the R square, that is equals to Kze square by your the R square, that is your the Fe. Though it moves in a particular orbit means the same orbital path it to be continuing. When the same orbital path is continuing means it is a circular orbital path, and in your the circular path another force is acting, and that force is known as your the centripetal force. So, for the centripetal it is the C force, for the force that is F. Electrostatic is the E, the force is your the F. So, what is the formula for the centripetal force in your the class 11th you know, and that is equals to your the m v square by your the R. So, between the V and the E some resemblance you will find, but for the V the distance, the separation is the more, but for the R I will write likewise. So, from this symbol you will know which one is the V, which is the R for me, m V square by R. So, that Fc and that Fe, they to be or the equal. The question comes as, sir, why it to be or the equal? Though he given that they are revolving in a particular orbit, on that orbit these two forces are acting, and that two forces must be or the equalized. If, sir, it is not equalized, then what will happen? If any force will be or the more, then your the path will not continue along that one, means towards that one another charge will be or the lean, but that is not your the happening. Therefore, we will say at the equilibrium your centripetal force and the electrostatic force to be your the same. So, Fc is equals to your the Fe. Fc is equals to your the m V square by your the R, and your the Fe is equals to Kz E square by your the R. Kz E square by your the R square. So, R with the R square is the cancel, that implies m V square is equals to Kz E square by R. Let us take, this is the equation A, highlight that is the equation A. But from the postulates we know m V R is equals to NH by your the 2 pi. So, this implies your V is equals to NH by your the 2 pi male portion. So, V is equals to NH by 2 pi male portion. Sir, male portion is what? You see, that is NH by 2 pi MR. MR means your the Mr. So, Mr is not your the male portion. Therefore, V is equals to NH by 2 pi MR. So, now put the value of the V in equation A. So, if we put in equation A, so M is M, V square means V value is this much. This is equals to N square H square by 4 pi square M square R square, that is the V square, is equals to Kz E square by R, Kz E square by your the R. So, this M with the M square is cancel, this R square power 2 and this R to be the cancel. So, remaining one is N square H square by 4 pi square Andira or the male, that is the Kz E square. So, that implies your R is equals to N square H square by 4 pi square Kz M E square. just I said 4 pi square kz m e square. You see 4 pi square, this n square s square after multiplication n square s square, 4 pi square mr into kz e square. So r to be determined, we taken r, so this r to be left, the remaining is 4 pi square m here and here kz e square. So 4 pi square m and here it is the kz e square. So 4 pi square m kz e square, 4 pi square kz m e square, or one will say 4 pi square e square m kz. So these all are the same or not? But to remember very easily, you see, as I am pronouncing 4 pi square kz m e square, 4 pi square kz m e square, it is just looks here the very good. As you know that there are some film songs are there. So if some terms to be the changed from here to there, it will not looks good. Therefore, just for your the smoothness or for your the likeness of the song, we are just arrange that one. So I arrange in this way 4 pi square kz m e square. If one will say 4 pi square m e square kz, there is no wrong. So this is equals to your the r. So r1 is equals to your the this. You see v is equals to your the this. V means here the speed. You see n is the number, 2 is the constant, pi is the constant, m is what? M is the mass. Whose mass? Of the electron. So electron mass, that is your the constant. R is your the radius of that particular orbit. If the radius is your the same, I do say that it will be the same, the radius of the orbit to be your the vary. As the orbit to be your the vary means V proportional to your the 1 by r. So n h 2 pi m are constant, V proportional to your the 1 by r. Similarly, you see for your the r, n is constant, h is constant, 4 is constant, this one is constant, k is constant, and m is constant, and your the E is your the constant. So this r is inversely proportional to your the z atomic number. As the atomic number to be your the increase, the value of the r to be your the decrease, and as the radius of the radius will be your the increase, the speed of the electron to be your the decrease. So our aim was to determine the radius of the orbit, means this is your the radius of the orbit. The question will comes in your the examinations that what will be the radius of the hydrogen atom in your the first orbit. Just remember, what is the radius of the hydrogen atom? Hydrogen atom means z is equals to 1. For the first orbit means your the n is equals to 1. So you put the value of the z as the 1 and n is your the 1 in this equation, then you will found what will be the value of your the r. So r will be the can easily determine. Instead of the hydrogen, suppose it will say the Andira atom. What will be the radius of the Andira atom for your the first orbit? Andira atom means that is equals to your the He, helium. Helium is the Andira atom because the helium is written as your the He. So likewise, if the question will come, so by taking that idea of your the radius, you put that formula with its the concept of the data provided, you can easily find its the answer. Thank you.